Hey everyone, Zion over here from Nintendo Life, and today we're here to chat all about Mario vs. Donkey Kong on the Nintendo Switch. It comes out on Friday, February 16th, and I have not played it one bit. I haven't played the demo or anything at all, but thankfully I'm joined by somebody who has. Today we're joined by Felix. How you doing?
Hey, I am here joined by myself. I'm very glad to be here. Yes, I've played the game.
Good. You well rested? Went to sleep with Mario vs. Donkey Kong last night?
Yes, I mean, I played it a bit before that because I had to have the review out 2 days ago when this video goes out.
Oh, right. That's true. So you've had, I guess, yeah, maybe you haven't had all the time in the world to play it, but you've spent, the past couple weeks with the game at the very least, right?
Yes.
Nice. Okay,
very
cool.
Much so. And I have not played the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Now, as I've said many times in other videos, I played the second game a lot growing up, but it was really nice to finally be able to play this remake or the original. This one is, from what I've been able to tell, I have booted up the original after playing this one just to see how similar they actually was. Mm-hmm. And it is pretty much just a one-to-one remake. There is some new stuff in this one, like co-op and time attack modes, and there's some new worlds, that sort of yada yada. But it is kind of like Super Mario RPG, where everything is very... You look at the original and you look at this one, and it's essentially just the same thing, but with better graphics, which, in my opinion, is a very good way to do a remake.
Yeah.
Does it warrant the $50 price? I don't think so. It's a very simple game. It's very, very fun, and I personally enjoy it, but I received the game. I didn't pay for it.
Sure.
So,
well, this sounds like a nice potential Nintendo Selects candidate someday for a $20-$30 game.
Oh yes, it's a good game to get on a sale because it is really fun. I really like the overall gameplay loop that you have to find a key in the first section of the level, then you go to the second one and have to find the mini Marios. Then after you've done 6 of those levels, you take those 6 mini Marios that you've collected through a level, and depending on how many mini Marios you get through this stage, I mean, obviously you want as many as possible, that is how many lives you have in the fight against Donkey Kong. So it's all interconnected in this really fun way, and Mario has a very slow but varied skill set. He has lots of unique jumps that you wouldn't see him do. Well, he doesn't have more jumps because Mario always has a lot of jumps, but he just has very different jumps. He does a handstand and then you can jump from that. And if you jump again after, you do a very high jump. And the enemies, you don't stomp on them. You land on them. Oh, this is nice. And then you can throw them or just use them as a platform or whatever. I really enjoyed the game, but it is very easy. And it is. Okay. And that's not to say a bad thing. I actually enjoy easy. And to me, that's not really a negative. People just need to know that it is a very easy game.
Does the game have difficulty settings or modifiers or any
Yes.
approachability options? It does. Okay.
There's a casual mode, which essentially is easy mode. That you get checkpoints throughout these levels, and when you die, you don't really die, because in this game, you just insta-die when you hit spikes or something. You have to restart the level. But here, you just enter a bubble and fly back to the checkpoint you were at. And you also don't have a time limit, because you are actually fighting against the clock. And in some games, I don't like having a timer, because let's say the Super Mario Bros. Games. I know Super Mario Bros. Wonder didn't have this, but it kind of felt pointless because you got so much time. And then in the end, now I need to hurry. It was kind of an afterthought where it wasn't really designed around this timer, where when I was playing this, there was genuinely some times where I just managed to get that key, or I just managed to grab the mini Mario, and that was really satisfying. I like having that pressure, especially when the challenge isn't that tough. Having that time pressure actually does make things a bit more challenging because you're stressing and maybe you make a dumb mistake and jump on the spikes.
So I have two questions before we go further. So one, it's a remake. Was it a Game Boy Advance game originally, right?
Yes, it came out in 2004. So when I was 2 years old. So it makes sense that I haven't played it. I didn't have a Game Boy Advance, although I did try a Game Boy Advance at my friend's house and we played Cars, and that's just stuck in. Yeah,
Cars. Yeah, it's important to have that context because sometimes people are like, what do you mean? You're such a big fan. Why haven't you played it? But it's impossible to play everything. The backlog is infinite.
And newer stuff is very, very appealing. When there's this new game, I'm gonna play that. It's not, well, at least when I was in my kid era. What am I saying? When I was a kid, I wasn't looking really back at
childhood
retro.
arc, right?
Yeah, I wasn't looking back at retro games. I was just playing whatever was releasing because that was what was on the store shelves. We didn't have a retro video game store that sold older games.
Yeah, or even just whatever you had, right? Like, I mean, it's you just gotta play.
You know, your parents take you out. Oh, Mario Party 8, that looks very fun, and it was very fun. So
Good.
yeah, that's the reason why I haven't played the original.
So maybe this is a tough question to answer, but who do you think this game, like based on your time with it, who do you think this game is for? Like what audience do you think would most enjoy this kind of game?
I think this game is for the people who haven't played the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong. And it seems that Nintendo is trying to get this rivalry up again with Donkey Kong and Mario. And I personally really like it. You saw it in the movie. And now they're doing this to everyone who perhaps didn't get to play the original, like me, and I imagine loads of other people. So that you have this new... I mean, the only reason that I've now played this game is because this remake was coming out. So I was planning on playing the original, but that was only because I tracked down a copy, and I imagine that not everyone has a copy for the Game Boy Advance.
Sure. Yeah, it's not like it's on Nintendo Switch Online or something either, right? This is the only way to play on Switch.
Yeah, so I'm personally really happy to see it getting this treatment because it is a good game. And I think people who enjoys platformers and who enjoys Mario should check this out. Should you wait for a sale? Probably yes, because it is a lot of money to spend on a game that isn't that long. And if you've played the original, it is those levels, but just in HD.
Sure.
You could, of course, also say that about Mario RPG. That was also the same thing, but in HD. But it was such a grand experience, and it had so many... I don't know. I felt it was different. There, where this is like a platform, that was a big adventure with so many different characters, and it was a game that had been kind of forgotten. You would have never thought that they would make a remake of Mario RPG, where this feels a bit more, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Even though it was a surprise when we saw it.
Have you gotten to try out the co-op mode yet on this game?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, I tried it out with my lovely wife, Alma, and even though we didn't play loads, we tried a couple of levels, and that is... If you are looking for like a reason to buy this game, the co-op would be one of the big things, because the levels change a bit. So now instead of only having to find one key, you have to find two keys.
Okay.
A silver key and a gold key. So you can each go out and find that key individually. There's a couple of new stuff in this level, like crumbling platforms and that sort of stuff. So they have actually gone and put in the effort to make a nice co-op mode. Why they chose Toad, I have no idea, because it is really weird. Toad is not very tall, so there's some sections where normally you would crouch down as Mario, and that makes sense. But as Toad, you still have to crouch down, even though he's half the size of Mario, so it's really weird. It doesn't make sense why they didn't just choose Luigi. I mean, the Toads are in the game already. They're the one running the factory. But still, it's really weird, isn't it, that they didn't choose Luigi? Maybe they have Mario and Luigi versus Donkey Kong in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that'll be DLC or something like that. Maybe a free update for Mario versus Donkey Kong on Nintendo Switch.
Just a skin, but he still has the Toad voice.
Yeah. Oh no. It's interesting that Toad isn't. So it sounds like Toad isn't like an easy mode for the player or something either, like to hand off to like a younger sibling
it's just a
or
second
something like
player.
that. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That could have been a great opportunity to make Toad not have to duck ever because he's just so short, and that would have been fine to make the game a bit easier. But oh well.
And the weird thing is, in the new Super Mario Bros. Games, Toad is the same size as Mario and Luigi because that is what makes most sense. Mm-hmm. But here it's weird, but it works. It totally works, and it's a lot more effort than what has been put into other co-op modes. Looking at you, Mario Galaxy.
I already know the answer to this, but I have to ask just so the audience is aware. For anyone who's played Marvel vs. Capcom or X-Men vs. Street Fighter or anything, they might think that this is a fighting game. Could you at least just fill us in, Felix? Confirm this. What genre of game do you think you'd plop this in?
I would definitely not plot this as a fighting game. This is most definitely
Okay.
a puzzle platformer. You're doing tricks on platforms, and it's a puzzle because sometimes you need to figure out how to get from point A to point B without dying from spikes, and you have to trigger these sort of switches so that different blocks appear and disappear. I mean, you do fight Donkey Kong, so in some areas it is fighting, but even those fights are also a bit platformer-esque. He just throws barrels, and then sometimes you have to pick one up and jump up these platforms and throw it at him. So I would definitely not put it as a fighting game.
Okay. So you were talking about the fact that this game is fairly short. Do you have like a rough number as to like how many hours you think it takes to make it through the baseline campaign?
I spend around 3 to 5 hours on the base campaign, so it's not very long.
Okay. Yeah, so it is fairly short. Wow.
So this game has a lot of post-credits content. So you finish the first 8 worlds, and then you unlock essentially 8 bonus worlds. So those are tougher challenges. But it's also, the levels are half the size, because here you don't have to find mini Marios. Here you are accompanied by one mini Mario. So it's kind of like those levels where mini Marios are running after you, only that here you have one that has the key, so you just have to guide that one up to the door. So it's they shake it up a little bit. But yeah, the base game is not very long. Luckily, there's some extra content. I have seen people that have been wishing for a level editor, and I do agree that this does seem like the game that could benefit greatly from that.
Wow, yeah, I didn't even consider. I feel like I remember seeing some Mario vs. Donkey Kong game in the past had a level editor, but that might just be like wishful thinking on my part. Do you know? Yeah,
Actually, every game in the series that came after this one, excluding spin-offs, did have a level editor. Now, those were also very different games. You were creating these levels for the mini Marios to go through. You were using the stylus and all that. But what you may not know is that they actually had planned for a level editor in the original Game Boy Advance release. So this would have just been a perfect opportunity to actually bring that to life.
Now, maybe they didn't do this because there's Super Mario Maker 2 and they didn't want to take away from that. We already have a video game where you can build stuff in with Mario, but this is just very different. Yeah. Mario has a completely different feel to him. He's very slow, and yeah, maybe that's the reason. I don't really know. Definitely a missed opportunity, though.
Sure. I mean, this does sound kind of like, you know, I suppose the more I learn about this game, it sounds more and more like this is kind of designed for like an audience that, yeah, is younger, or just like maybe doesn't have a whole lot of time on their hands and wants to play through something like a Picross game. I always
mean, they don't
stories.
have to be younger. It can also just be people who are looking for a chill experience, people who didn't get to play the original. But yes, I do feel that this would be the game I would love as a kid, because it's simple. It's not too easy, but it is still easy. So you can definitely get through the levels, and again, very fun gameplay mechanic.
Sweet. And then as far as new additions go, there's co-op mode, the revamped graphics, of course, and then do you know if the additional levels that you get after completing the game, if those are brand new to this one, or if they were in the original version too?
So the GBA version had 6 worlds and then 6 bonus worlds, and these bonus worlds are essentially tougher versions of the original worlds. So you have the jungle, and then you have Jungle Plus, essentially. Mm-hmm. So now you have 2 new worlds. So you have Merry Miniland and you have Slippery Summit, it feels like they were just always there. Of course, you also have bonus versions of those 2 worlds. So there you have some new extra content, but you also have expert levels, and these are tough challenges for those who wants a beating, maybe.
Yeah.
But those are only unlocked after beating the main game. So you do need to get through 8 worlds before you can access that.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, in short, it sounds like, you know, it sounds like they could have done more with this remake, but it sounds like you were still like fairly. I don't want to speak for you necessarily, but it sounds like you still had a fun time. Just it sounds like it left you wanting more.
I did have a fun time.
Yeah.
I always love the concept of guiding around the mini Marios, and I know this is a bit different, but I really like how this is, and I can see why people would be upset of the change in direction with the later entries. So yeah, I'm glad it's here, and if you're on the fence about it, maybe wait for a sale. And I think if you're into these type of games, you will have a pretty good time.
And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you fight that subscribe button in a puzzle game of your choice and ring that notification bell. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Felix, for joining me for this chat. This was fun.
Yes, I hope that people can make an informed decision about if they want this game or not, because that's what this video is really for.
It's all we can do. It's all we can do. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.
Come back, Mario! Mario! If you've played the remake, you'll know what I'm talking about.